Well, greetings, Robert Locke. Thanks for hanging out with us today. The topic of this conversation is myth number 19. Now, we've said before that a myth is something that the property management industry as a rule believes is true, and when you examine it, peel it back a little bit, look at it closely, maybe it isn't so much. So this one is number 19. It goes something like this. Ethical property managers never make undisclosed profits, right? Well, my experience around the country as I look at management agreements and talk to property managers is that unlike our claims too many times, we are making undisclosed profits. We make spreads and we don't disclose it to the owners. So we're going to do about a 3-second break, and I'm going to get into the description of this, see if you don't agree with me. Lots of property managers make undisclosed profits. Okay, so let's start out by making sure we define what a profit or what a spread is, because if we can agree on that, then this conversation has some merit, okay? Charging more than our hard costs for something, okay? Charging more than our hard costs. In other words, if we pay $50 for something and we charge the owner $100, nothing wrong with that, but there's an argument as to should that be disclosed in the management agreement. Undisclosed profits and spreads and referral fees and things like that. So in our industry, there's kind of this theme that says we need to be open and transparent with the owner because we represent the owner in the transaction. And there's this fine line of how far do you have to go? And I'm making the argument that most managers that I know are making undisclosed spreads and profits. So let me give you a couple of examples. If we can kind of agree on this definition, then I think we have a good place to start, okay? So let me give you an example. The cost of a background check is $20 to $30. In other words, if you get an application, depending on the tenant screening service you use and the amount of volume and how far you go with your tenant screening, you're going to pay somewhere in the $20 to $30 range. The problem is we don't charge the tenant $20 to $30. Actually, we charge, as most property managers do, somewhere between $75 and $100 for an application fee. Now, clearly, that's making a spread, and I'm not suggesting there's anything unethical or illegal or immoral about it. It's just one that we don't specifically identify to the owner, and we don't need to, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of things we can do that don't need to be exposed to the owner, and I've got a number of videos that kind of defend that argument. And what I hear from managers when I bring this up are things like, well, that's normal, every manager does it. And of course, every manager does do it. Doesn't make it right or legal, but we pretty much all do it. Secondly, the apartment industry charges $75 to $100, and surely that's true. So no reason from that standpoint that we shouldn't do it. And owners really do understand this, and those are kind of the arguments I get from people when I bring up this issue of making undisclosed profits, because I think there's a little kink here. Let me give you another example. Another example would be your hard cost of an NSF check, kind of depending on your bank and how much volume, what your relationship with the bank is. Could be zero, could be $10, $15, $20. Typically, I see property managers charge the tenant $50 to $75 for an NSF check. Now, we're all going to make the argument that an NSF check takes labor and time and effort. And so we've justified a markup, and I think that's a perfect justification. But it is a spread, and we can make that argument on a whole lot of things that we're doing. But the question is this being disclosed to the owner in the management agreement? And the argument is, maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. Here's the conclusion. The conclusion is all property managers make undisclosed profits unless they embrace our broad standing disclosure. Now, throughout our website, under CYA documents and our customized management agreement, we adopted about 25 years ago the idea in our management agreement of a broad standing disclosure. And that disclosure basically, just in general terms, says we're going to make spreads and upcharges and rebates and receive referral fees from vendors and relocation companies and other real estate agents, including making money on companies that we may have an ownership interest in. That broad standing disclosure has served us well for about 3,000 tenants, about 8,000 owners, and for about 25 years in our business. Owners don't have a problem with it. It's got a great explanation, and you can find this broad standing disclosure on our website. You could get the language and all of the explanations that go with it. You can embrace it and put it in your management agreement, and it works just great. We have probably 80 to 100 managers that have done that with us over the years. So you can find it by going to our website, trainingpropertymanagers.com. You can go to products, which is all over the front page. You can go to CYA documents for owners. Now there are CYA documents for tenants. There are CYA documents for vendors. This is CYA documents for owners, and it is item number 2B. And you can, again, just download that, copy it, plug it in your management agreement. You won't be doing what other managers are doing around the country, making undisclosed profits. So the myth is ethical property managers always make undisclosed profits, right? Or ethical property managers never make undisclosed profits. And of course, we know from this discussion that that's wrong. Well, we appreciate the time you spent with us today, a little nugget for your learning curve. And when somebody says, I don't make undisclosed profits, maybe you should put a question mark there. Maybe you should go further. Look at your management agreement and see if you are truly making some undisclosed spreads and profits and upcharges. Perfectly okay to do it. We teach a ton of that on our website under Cashing In on Property Management. In fact, part of our theme, part of our lead in our website is helping property managers turn on the revenue streams and turn a nickel-dime business into a money machine. Well, we have just about a 6-second video at the end. Don't go away. We'll wrap it up in just a second. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
What if you could find a veteran property manager? Somebody from your industry with outstanding credentials like RMP, MPM, CRMC, with 35 years of hands-on experience, who grew their company from the basement of their home to over 1,000 houses and sold out to a Fortune 500 company. What if that someone would share all their documents, forms, checklists, handbooks, manuals, and all the training videos you could watch, and be available for one-on-one consulting to help your business grow and prosper? Wouldn't that be amazing? Now there is such a person. He's an insider and one of your colleagues. Robert Locke, RMP, MPM, national trainer, and instructor extraordinaire, is gathering all the documents, forms, handbooks, and lessons from 35 years of hands-on experience in the professional property management industry and posting it on trainingpropertymanagers.com for you to download, and is posting dozens of training videos for you and your staff to learn from, and offering consulting services to managers across the country. Check it out on trainingpropertymanagers.com.